I asked a question to the universe, which then my cells answered. I asked a question when I just realized and owned I exist as a field energy, a spirit, whatever you want to call it, as information in the field. And I also exist as a body. My first question that came up in my head was, then why have both? Why have a spirit and a body? Why not just be the spirit? And my cells came up with this chorus that I just blasted my head. And it was kind of funny because I think they have Jewish heritage cells, because I asked them a question and they responded in a question. I asked, why have both? And all of a sudden it welled up and the answer came and said, Bruce, if you're just a spirit, what does chocolate taste like? And all of a sudden I said, oh my God, it's the biology, which is all the receptor devices that translate my environment into sensation, which are then translated by the nervous system into fields and vibrational patterns, which are then sent back to my source. And I realized at that moment, I said, my God, we're here to experience this place, to touch it and smell it, watch sunsets and feel love and eat wonderful food and have all this. And I thought, wow. And then all of a sudden I said, yeah, but it's not just receiving information. When you have a body, you can be creative. We can come to this planet and manifest creativity. And we do this, we step into a virtual reality suit called the body. I step into the suit as a spirit. It communicates with me via just the same way the Mars rover is communicating with NASA, and I get to experience this planet. If I have a picture of fear in my mind, I'm afraid of something, my brain translates fear with different chemicals, stress hormones, cortisol, norepinephrine, factors that affect the immune system that are called cytokines or histamine. So basically, in a state of conscious fear, the brain releases chemistry that complements fear. That chemistry goes into the body's blood, and that changes the behavior and the genetics of the person. So that means there's a difference between having positive thoughts and having negative thoughts. And people say, oh, that positive thinking doesn't really work, but that's not true. The best example of positive thinking in a scientific study is called placebo. You have a disease and the doctor says, here's this new pill and it's the brand new science and it's going to cure you, and you believe it. And you take the pill and you get well. Then you find out the pill was a sugar pill. So then you're left with, so what made me well? It's not the sugar pill. It was the positive belief in that sugar pill and how it's going to help your life. So that's called placebo, positive thinking, positive result. Unfortunately, most people don't recognize a more important point. Negative thinking is equally powerful, but it works in the opposite direction. So it turns out, for example, less than 10% of cancer is even connected to a family lineage. 90% of cancer just comes out of the blue, so to speak. But the reality is, no, it's a result of stress and negative thinking. So it's an important point. Positive thinking, negative thinking, equally powerful, because that's the level of consciousness that is translated into the chemistry that controls your genetics. I just want to add a very important point to this. Quantum physics is the most valid science on this planet. There is no science that has been tested more and verified more. And I go, so what's the relevance? Because the primary principle in quantum physics is consciousness is creating our life experiences. And well, when you add epigenetics to that physics, now we understand the mechanism of how consciousness is controlling our biology. So biology and physics are coming together to reveal that we are very powerful creators of our lives. The science that says there are two minds that are operating at the same time. One is called the conscious mind and one is called the subconscious mind. I say, what's the difference? The conscious mind is where you are as a spirit, an entity, a unique identity. You are in that conscious mind and perceiving the world. I say, what about the subconscious mind? It's not a creative mind. The subconscious mind is habits, things that you've learned and you experienced in your life, and they become habits. So the subconscious mind is not thinking, creating. The subconscious mind, push the button, play the behavior. So here's the point. When we are in our conscious mind, we are connecting our spirituality to the biology and the physical planet that we're in. And that is the creative mind. That's the one you wake up in the morning and say, oh, I wish I had this and I desire that and these are the things I want. And then you go out and start the day, and then guess what? 95% of the day, you are not operating from the conscious mind. Science has recognized 95% of the day, because we are thinking 95% of the day, our behavior is now controlled by the subconscious mind. I go, okay, so what's the difference? And the final conclusion of this is the conscious mind with your creativity has your wishes and your desires. The subconscious mind was programmed by other people. Your mother, your father, your siblings, and your community. So what is the difference? You wake up with a wish and a desire of what you want, and then the rest of the day, you play the programs that you got from other people that don't answer your wishes and don't support your desires, and all you see is the consequence of it and go, oh my God, why is it not working? And the answer is because you don't see, because remember the name is subconscious, below conscious. So when that behavior is playing, psychologists will tell us 70% or more of the programs in the subconscious are disempowering, self-sabotaging, and limiting behaviors. So the simple reality is this: we have great wishes and desires, and yet our life is not controlled by that. Our life is controlled by the programming, and that programming is the disempowering program. So all you see is the consequence of the invisible subconscious, which will sabotage all the desires and wishes you have. And then to conclude that, what if you just didn't default to the subconscious? What if you just stayed in the conscious mind? That's called being mindful. And why is it relevant? Because when you stay conscious, keep your mind present, you are the creator of your life. And when people are in mindfulness, they manifest their wishes, their desires, and their happiness. So for all of us, it's sort of a wake-up call. You think you're running your life with your wishes and desires, it's an illusion. You're really running your life with your programs acquired from other people. In our mind, we start to realize that we're concerned, we're afraid, we don't have enough, I'm not safe, I'm not secure. And I say, oh, these thoughts, I was talking about the thoughts in your mind, go in and control your biology, your genetics, your physiology, and your health. And I go, yes, this is really true. I said, well, how can I tell you what your thoughts are in a sense that can I read your thoughts? And I say, yes, you know, I could put wires on your head, and it's called electroencephalograph, and I could read your brain activity. And I go, oh, great, I can see this brain activity. I want to tell you something that's profoundly important. We were programmed to believe that our thoughts are contained in our head. That if I have a thought, it's just for me, not for anybody else. It's inside, and it's working through me. And now I want to tell you about a new technology. It's not electroencephalograph. It's called magnetoencephalograph. I say, what's unique about that? I say, it reads your brain. I say, yeah, but so does EEG. I say, yeah, but EEG, you put the wires on the head, and you get the electrical activity conducted through the skin from the brain, and that's what I'm reading. And I say, what's different about MEG? The probe is out here. And I said, what does that mean? Your thoughts are not contained in your head. Your thoughts are broadcast to the field just like a radio broadcast. I said, well, what if I, as an individual, have a thought that says, let's have peace in the world? And I broadcast out there in the street and I say, let's have peace. And I look around, it's like, where's the peace? I don't see the peace. And here's what the relevance is. Each of us is broadcasting. If you get enough people to have the same thought, that broadcast is amplified. Each of us has a small power, but if you put 1,000 people with the same thought, 10,000, 100,000 people with the same thought, you are broadcasting a most powerful thought, not just in your body, but out in the field. I say your energy is in the field, the thought is in the field. And you go, well, what does that mean? And then I'll give you this most wonderful quote. I used it the other day in a lecture from Albert Einstein. And the quote is so important. Here's the quote. The field, so a definition, the field is the invisible energy. Right now you're in a field, there's cell phone broadcasts, television, radio broadcasts, all kinds of information coming across, but guess what? Each one of you is a broadcast in that field. The quote, the field is the sole governing agency of the particle. Particle is the material realm. So what was Einstein saying? It's the energy in the field that shapes the physical experience of our lives. And if enough of us collectively have an energy that's coherent and strong, and we broadcast the belief, we change the world. I just want you to recognize, as much as I wanted peace in the world, if not enough people are out there saying, let's have peace in the world, there is no peace. If I want to say, let's have a war, how can you have a war? You have to have enough people convinced that the war is going to benefit them so that their broadcasts say, yes, let's have a war because I and my colleagues, we're all going to have a better result from that. And the reality is this. The only things that change on this planet collectively are when we collectively share thoughts. And yoga, when you're in your postures, when you're in your process, your mind is sharing a thought, not just in your head, but all around you. So the whole idea about this is we have to recognize we are collectively creating reality with our thoughts. And if we want to change reality, it can change instantly. The moment we become coherent, the moment we collectively are on the same platform of thinking. You get enough people to say peace, there will be peace instantly in this world. But we've been programmed by other people to give them the power to tell us what we need. And as Sadhviji has been telling us so importantly, what we need is not what they tell us, what we need is what we know. And I really hope that you understand this, because when you have your thoughts, recognize it's not contained in your head, your thoughts out in the field. And that thought, the field, is the sole governing agency of matter. And therefore, what this world is looking for at this moment is an evolution. It's not an evolution of our biology. Our biology is already evolved. It's an evolution of our consciousness. When we collectively as a population say enough is enough, it will end. The problem with the concept of power, the power of positive thinking, is people just think, oh, well, if I just have positive thoughts, then my life should be affected. And this is why positive thinking has a real bad rap in the public. And the reason is this. Having a positive thought does not in any way necessitate that those positive thoughts actually manifest themselves. And there's a piece that was left out. And if you don't understand the piece, then you're shouting into the wind with your positive thoughts. Nothing's going to happen. And the fact is this. When you're having positive thoughts, you're using your mind. The new biology reveals that the invisible forces that collectively we refer to as mind, that these form a field which shape biology. Well, here's what's important. Yes, the mind influences biology, but there are two parts to the mind that are completely different than one another, yet they work together. We confuse them, we tie them together, and yet they represent two entities working in two different fashions. There's the conscious mind and what is called the subconscious mind. Now, here's what it's very important, people have to know this, okay, and here's what it is. The conscious mind is our creative mind that is connected to our personal identity and our spiritual selves. That makes us all unique. Each of us has our own personal conscious mind. But what becomes very significant is this, is the subconscious mind is equivalent to a tape player. It's exactly what it is. It records experiences and then plays them back. And so now let's take a look and say, well, wait, there's a thinking mind, and then there's a tape player mind. And what's different about them is very profound. So let's talk about two fundamental differences first. The tape player, the subconscious mind, as an information processor, as the equivalent of a computer, is 1,000,000 times more powerful an information processor than is the conscious mind. So when you look at the power between the conscious and subconscious is a million times more powerful. Number two, on a day-by-day basis, the subconscious mind runs our biology about 95 to 99% of the time. So while you're having all these wonderful thoughts, that's not the conscious mind's not running the show. It's a subconscious mind. Then comes the issue is, well, the subconscious mind got programs in it. Yes. And the subconscious mind is not evil or good. The subconscious mind is a tape player. As much as you can say, okay, here's a tape player. It's good or bad. The tape player is not good or bad. The programs can be good, and the programs can be bad. So blaming the subconscious mind as a negative thing that's the first mistake. It's a tape player. The programs that we got, that's the source of the problems that most of us face. And these programs could limit our abilities and take away our powers, which essentially they do. Now, the relevance about positive thinking is this. Positive thinking is a creative thought that comes from the conscious mind. Okay, so I sit here and I'm going to have all these wonderful thoughts. I'm going to close my eyes and visualize all these wonderful things. Now stop and go back to the mechanical character of it. I'm having these thoughts with a little tiny processor called the conscious mind, and I'm competing with the programs that are in the subconscious mind. So if I have a thought for being healthy or being in a good relationship, and I'm doing positive thinking, and at the same time, I have acquired programs in my development that said, you're not as healthy as you think you are, and you're not that good a person to have those kind of relationships. Then look, I'm now pitting my positive thoughts against my programs, and they're opposite. But this one works on a little tiny processor, and this processor is a million times more powerful. So right away, it's like, who's going to win in that challenge? The answer, of course, the subconscious is going to win, okay? But here comes the other part. While I can try to maintain positive thoughts in my life using my conscious mind, this conscious mind only operates less than 5% of the day. That says 95% or more of the day, I'm operating from the other belief system. The point is, do the math. How powerful are positive thoughts? And the answer is, unless the subconscious has the same programs and agreement as the conscious mind, power of positive thinking will not work. It will not work because you're competing against a much more powerful processor. The belief that is taught is that biology in the world we live in operates according to Newtonian principles. Unfortunate part about that is quantum mechanics 100 years ago said that's obviously not true, and physicists know this is not true, and yet medicine doesn't buy into it because it still focuses on the material reality and lets go of the invisible shaping fields that quantum physics emphasizes as primary. Okay, so we have to change that belief system. We have to get people to recognize that the field and the thoughts and all these other things are as important as anything else in shaping the matter we live in. Number two, the belief which I blew away years ago, but it's still being taught in school, is the concept that genes control life. This is totally false. Genes control nothing. Control is an action. A gene is a blueprint. It's physically, literally a string with blueprint data on it. Why is that relevant? Well, it's interesting. Go to an architect's office, and the architect's working on a blueprint, and then lean over the architect's shoulder and say, is that blueprint on or off? And he looks at you, the blueprint's not on or off, it's a blueprint. Yeah, but we talk about genes being on and off, like genes are turning on and genes are turning off. And the question is, but genes are blueprints. They can't turn on and off. There is no on and off. It's just the blueprint. It's a pattern. What we have failed to focus on because we gave genes a character of self-actualization. That my genes decided to do something. It's like, okay, now we're a victim of the genes. But it turns out biologists know that this is not true. Biologists know that genes are not turned on and off. Genes are read or not read, like blueprints. Then all of a sudden it says, well, it's not the blueprint that's important. If the blueprints were self-actualizing, an architect could go by a building site, drop the blueprints off, come back 2 weeks later, and the building will be there. That's what we think about animals and plants. The genes are blueprints and they'll control all this. It's like, no, the blueprints are important. I'm not saying they're not. You got the bad blueprints, you got some problems going on here. But the issue is, it's not the presence or absence of a blueprint, it's whether the blueprint is being read. And then you say, well, then who reads the blueprint? And the answer is, a contractor. And who's a contractor? The mind is the contractor. The mind reads genes. The mind can change the genes readout. Here's something so blow away that most people can't in their conventional world make sense of it, because it's like, it goes like this. The mind, through what is called epigenetic mechanisms, can start with a single gene blueprint and create over 30,000 different versions of products from the same blueprint. 30,000 different products from the same blueprint. All of a sudden you realize, my God, you can infinitely vary the expression of the gene. And the answer is yes. And why has this become relevant to all of us? And the answer is because many of us think genes control our lives. And yet we don't realize that we modify the readout of the gene. So we could be totally healthy and our mind can cause cancer. Our mind can cause any disease, diabetes, anything like that. And what's interesting is the flip side is some people come here with actually defective genes. And guess what? With their mind, they can rewrite those genes and make them normal. So the genes are not the limiting factor, it's the mind.
Something you look at in spontaneous evolution too is how science and spirituality are coming together. They used to be very separate. There used to be
absolutely.
The scientific world, which was very factual driven, and that's that, and you couldn't change it. And spirituality was trying to open up things, but they really are meeting now, aren't they?
Yeah, it was interesting because the spiritual world of religion was talking about the invisible moving forces that shape the physical reality, and we call them spirit. And then science only came into existence because it made a detente with the church. In the very early days of science, it said, look, we won't tread on your invisible spiritual domain. We will just study the physical world. And when Newton was able to predict the movements of the planet by just looking at the physical features, then scientists got the idea as well. If you can understand how the universe operates by just studying the material world, we don't need that invisible stuff. But in 1925, Newtonian physics was incorporated, subsumed by a bigger physics called quantum physics. And quantum physics emphasizes the universe is made out of energy, it's not made out of matter. And then I say, well, what does the quantum physicists call this energy that the universe is made out of? I say, well, they call it the field. I say, what's the definition of the field? I love this. Invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. I go, my goodness, that's the same definition as spiritual that's used for spirit. I go, yes, quantum physics emphasizing the invisible field as primary to the physical world is essentially reiterating the statement of the spiritual people who talked about the invisible forces shaping our physical existence. And so, by definition, science, the new science of quantum physics, is bringing us back into alignment with the spiritual reality. Hopefully, the dogmatic beliefs of the church, which had talked about these wonderful terms but didn't allow us to live there, and science, which is still stuck in its material plane, will both divest themselves of their dogma and allow us to come together and recognize that we're all part of that invisible field, that we don't even live in our own bodies, if you understand the nature of how the cell works, that we are part of the field being downloaded into our body, that we're all, by definition, the field, or we're all spiritual, same definition. And if we recognize this, the unity of it, and that you cannot be taken out of the field, and you cannot be, in a sense, punished by the field, you are the field, then maybe the beliefs, those very restrictive beliefs from both science and from the dogmatic religion, will disappear, because the people owning their own spirituality, owning their own responsibility, and not saying, oh, it's spirits that did this or things, other factors, that we are the creators, will generate a new world. Because what I firmly believe is very simple. Go out and talk to the average person anywhere in the world and say, if you could create a world, what would you like? Well, I'd like a world where there's peace and harmony, and I'd like some food and a job. And I go, isn't it amazing how everywhere you go in the world, virtually the entire population has the same belief? And I go, then how come we don't have it? And the answer is because the leadership isn't exercising that belief. So I trust the people to take over the leadership of this world, and that the structure that is actually in a state of collapse. When it collapses, this will be our opportunity to evolve from the very destructive Darwinian perception of a world into a more holistic holism that says We're all part of the same system. We're all cells in the same body. And when we work together, we will create magic on this earth like nothing has ever been seen before. So I'm very optimistic about that. The hardest part about programming that people don't recognize is you have to make all programs present tense positive statements, not future statements. I will have, I shall have, something like that. It's like, no, I am. It is. And the reason is it's so logically simple, and that is this. Let's say I'm not well. I say, I want to be well. I say, fine, let's record that.
Uh-oh.
Now let's come back a whole year later and push the button that says, I want to be well. I say, oh, it's been a whole year. You never got there. You just wanted to be well for a whole year. That's what the program said. So if you are sick and you write, I am healthy, and the mind looks at the program and says, oh, I got to change this. It doesn't change the program. It brings health back so that the body matches the program. And so that's the whole issue about it. The function of the mind is to take the program and manifest it. And if you got a negative program, then obviously whatever it manifests is going to be negative.
The thing that we often forget is that we're all miracle workers wherever we are. You're not just a miracle worker, or if you want to call it a light worker, whatever you want to call it, if you're working as a life coach or you're a therapist or you're a speaker or writer or whatever it is, everywhere we go is a moment to offer someone a shift in their perception, which is a miracle. Everywhere we go is a moment to help transcend the limitations of the world and be a force of good in the presence of another human. So start now where you are, and then let the universe show you what to do. Because we start to get into, how do I get there? What am I going to do? The overthinking and the plotting and the scheming gets in the way of the allowing. So be in the work, do the work in every encounter, at the grocery store, at the doctor's office, at your job, on a Zoom. Be the light wherever you go. Excellent. So you're already doing it. You got your yoga classes. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep bringing that light with you wherever you go. And I guarantee you, the universe will reveal to you the next action and the next action and the next action. So I actually don't want you to try to figure it out. I want you to stay in the momentum of what you've already created, which is that you're bringing it to the yoga class, you're bringing it to the office, you're bringing it to the home, you're bringing it to your friendships. It will be revealed to you. I guarantee you. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. There's a lot of practical things that you could do if you're like, I want to go build a business, whatever. Sure, there's a million ways you could do that. But I think right now is your moment. By the way, one of my signs was a check mark, and somebody just put a check mark in the, thank you for my sign. Thank you out there with the check mark. Okay. So baby. I believe you. I feel you. I trust you that you are here to bring a lot of love and to teach in your own unique way. I don't want you to overthink it. I don't want you to get in the way of it. I don't want you to start too soon in the sense of leaving your job or whatever. I want you to be in the daily devotion of how can I serve in every corner of your life and get that fully and completely. And that's when, there's more check marks. And that's when you are going to be very, very, very clear about what the next right action is for you. I mean it. I really mean it. I think that when we're trying to bring a new energy into the work that we do or into our relationships or anything in our life, if we get too heady about it and too logical about it and too detailed about it at first, we actually get in the way of what it can be. The details and the logic and all that can come. But I want you to right now in this moment be super grounded in, how can I serve it at my yoga class more? How can I serve in this existing job more? And as you start to do that, it'll be very clear to you and revealed to you.
Have you ever seen a mustard seed? Here, I have some here. I want to pull one out. Now, Jesus said, if you had the faith of a mustard seed, you could move mountains and anything was possible. Now, I heard this as a kid and I really believed it. And so the question is, what do you believe? Do you believe that you are worthy of happiness? Do you believe that happiness, success, abundance, comfort, fulfillment, peace, joy, love is a part of your birthright? Is that what you believe? Or do you believe something else? Because you will manifest the life that you believe.
Visualization is one of the great secrets of success. That's where we build a picture in our mind. When Van Gogh was asked, how do you do such beautiful work? He said, I dream my painting, and then I paint my dream. Well, that's the way it works. All the great leaders have been great visionaries. Solomon said, where there is no vision, the people will perish. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to die. It just means their results are going to get weaker and weaker and weaker, and they're just not going to be making it happen the way they want to. Everyone visualizes, whether he realizes it or not. Visualization is the great secret to success. Now, look at this. The conscious use of this great power attracts to you multiplied resources. Multiply. It attracts to you. You know something about the law of attraction? How do we attract? Well, through visualization. Now look at it. And it intensifies your wisdom and enables you to make use of advantages you formerly failed to recognize.
The universe, in some way, is kind of a little bit rigged against us. That's correct. Let me prove to you. Here's a garden. Now, when you plant roses, what do you get? What do you get? Comment below. You get roses, right? Now, what happens if you don't plant anything and you don't take time to even take care of the garden? You don't even pay attention to it. What happens? Weeds grow. So it is not the case that if you don't plant something, nothing will happen. No, it's rather the case when you don't plant anything, weeds grow. And that's how our mind works. So if you're not constantly feeding your mind, I call that mind feed. If you don't constantly feed your mind with positive motivation, inspiration, something that moves you towards your goals, practical, useful information to feed your mind. If you're not doing that constantly, weeds grow. And that's why personally, I don't watch news. Because most news are nothing more than negativity, and they are just designed to grab your attention, right? It's just sensations. It doesn't actually do much to your life. It doesn't add value to your life. It doesn't make you a better person, except it scares the heck out of you. You watch enough news, you don't even want to go out, right? You don't want to do anything. So I don't watch news. If it's important enough, guess what? My team, someone would tell me, I'll eventually find out. But most of the time, I don't know what is going on. I focus on what I do. I want to protect this. I want to protect my filter. I'm very, very careful about how I view the world and how I upgrade my filter. And that's why law of attraction, it works all the time. It works 24/7. You cannot stop it, even if you want to. You cannot stop it, even if you're not paying attention to it. So you could choose. You can choose what information you consume every single day. You can choose what you pay attention to. You can choose what channel you watch. You can choose what videos you watch. You have the power to choose.
Most people never manifest their ideas because you don't trust your ideas. That bold idea that came to you, that made sense to you in the moment, the next day feels too bold, too crazy, too insane, too not for someone like you. I believe that the decisions that come to you when you're feeling bold are actually the right ones for you, and you have to take immediate action on, because otherwise your head gets in the way and talks you down from doing the things that you should be doing. So right now I'm in the process of looking for a creative director for my business, someone to look at all my content, suggest ways to make it better, to be focused on the branding and opportunities for me. And this was a suggestion from Mark Drager, friend of the channel, longtime personal friend of mine as well. He helped film my very first video. He's the reason why I did Top 10 Moves to Success. Long story with Mark, and he said, Evan, you need a creative director for your business. Creative director or brand manager or CEO, somebody to be in charge of all the creative decisions and getting me out on the stages that I need to be out on. So how do we make these videos better? That's that person's role. And so in my head, when he first said it, I'm a little afraid. I'm scared, like, oh, How do I find this person? I need to vibe well with them. I can't just bring anybody into that role. I'm a pretty weird duck, and so this has to be a good, long-term fit for me. How much is this person gonna cost? How do I fit into my cost structure right now with my business? How are we gonna deal with conflict? So it's all of the negativity, all of the things that are reasons why it's not gonna work. And so instead of to focus on, this is a bold idea and I need to at least explore it. I need to try it, I need to play it out. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But teaching myself that I do bold things, I do scary things, I do difficult things. And being scared is not a good enough reason for not to take action. And so those ideas that come to you, trust that they came to you for a reason. If it came to you and you're thinking about it and you feel bold, like, man, I would love to go off and do that. The best thing you can do is just start going off and doing that. Because what's gonna happen is you're gonna plan. You're gonna spend all your best energies just stuck in planning mode. Instead of actually going out and taking action, you're gonna tell your friends about it. They're gonna tell you it's a stupid idea. You're gonna sleep on it. You're gonna wake up and tell yourself it's a stupid idea. And then what happens is no momentum. The biggest thing that is missing from your life is momentum. Nina's happy. Nina's smiling. She's next to me filming. That's all that's missing. You're a genius. You have great ideas. Great, genius, amazing ideas. You're just missing momentum. Because once you get the idea, you sit on it and then you tell yourself why you can't do it instead of going off and proving to yourself that you can. So how do you find the ideas and then how do you take action on them? I'm gonna give you a 3-step process. Step number 1 is go for a walk, have a shower, do whatever the thing is that makes you feel energized, creative, and in the zone. Right? If you're constantly just in front of your phone and stressed out all day long, you're not gonna come up with creative ideas. So where do you get creative ideas? I get creative ideas when I'm driving. I get creative ideas when I'm in the shower. I get creative ideas when I'm walking. I don't really meditate, so I don't get ideas when I'm doing that. But it's time when there's nothing scheduled. And so do you have enough time during your week or during your day that is open that you allow yourself to think and be creative? For a lot of people watching this, you probably do. You probably have some moments in your calendar that are dedicated to at least having a shower. Hopefully you have showers on a regular basis, right? So you're coming up with ideas, right? So whatever that thing is that lets you come up with ideas, do more of it, right? If you get great ideas in the shower, maybe instead of a 5-minute shower, you take a 15-minute shower. Maybe you get some more ideas coming to you, right? You wanna spend more time doing the work that generates creativity for you. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is don't judge the ideas that come to you. This is where so many people fall down. You get an idea, and then you judge it and you say, I can't do that, I'm not good enough, I don't have the money, I don't have the connections, I didn't go to school for that, I'm not tall enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, whatever. People like me don't do this thing. All these ideas why you can't win. You're telling yourself why you can't win before you even started. Don't judge the idea. Trust that the idea came to you for a reason. So if I'm thinking about somebody in the shower, somebody that maybe I met yesterday or somebody that I haven't talked to in 3 years, why am I thinking about that person? I don't know. Boh. Italians have this expression, they go, boh, means I don't know. Boh. So I trust that idea came for a reason. That idea is flowing through me for a reason and I gotta do something about it. And so whenever I'm thinking about somebody in the shower, the next thing is I get out of the shower and I'll email that person right away. And I'll always make it awkward and say, hey, I was thinking about you in the shower today. And then tell them what the story was. And it's never backfired on me. It's never backfired on me. Sometimes it leads to some great opportunity and sometimes it goes nowhere. But you get the idea, you do something. Get the idea, you do something. Stop judging the idea. Stop telling yourself why you can't do it. And then step number 3 is take immediate action and build momentum. Again, the biggest thing that you're just missing is momentum. You're a genius. You're an amazing entrepreneur. You've got tons of potential. Sarah Blakely had this idea to create Spanx and it made her a billionaire when everybody thought she was crazy, right? I'm sure you have ideas like that too. What's the difference between you and her? Momentum. She did more, she started. She took the no, she took the rejection, she took the fears and she said, I'm gonna give it my shot. You need to build immediate momentum. As soon as you get that idea, whether it's in the shower, on the walk, on the drive, whatever it is, as soon as you get that, you're not allowed to leave that moment of courage, that moment of boldness, that moment of feeling unstoppable, that moment of like, I can do this. When you're feeling that moment, you're not allowed to leave it without having done something. Immediate action, every single time. And sometimes that leads to something great, and maybe the momentum falls off the next day, that's okay. But in the moment, you have to take immediate action. No more excuses. Stop letting yourself off the hook. Stop telling yourself that you suck and you can't do it, and go show yourself that you can.
trying to get them to focus upon positive things. And we sort of laid out a list of positive things that she might think about. And she said, "Oh, Abraham, I don't want those. I've already got those." And what she really meant was, the things that I want are the things that have not yet happened. And we want to help you to realize that if you're thinking about things that you want from the standpoint that they have not yet come to fruition, that they are still missing in your experience, then you're holding it in a sort of suspended position where the distance between where you are and where it is not closing. So what we're wanting you to realize is you have these patterns of thought. And law of attraction is helping you to sustain the pattern of thought that you have. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking. And so early on in your experience, by your exposure to life, you began developing some patterns of thought. Sometimes they were carefully taught to you by others. Sometimes it came because of something that you observed and then talked about and then remembered and then attracted again and then talked about it and then remembered and then attracted again. In other words, life is very interesting here, isn't it? Because you can't talk about anything for very long before it begins to replicate itself in your life experience. And it's what makes you develop your patterns of what you call truths. You say, at first I wasn't sure, and then I pondered it for a while. And once I gave it my attention, I began seeing evidence of it everywhere. And now I believe it, and now that I believe it, it's manifesting in my experience. And we say, that's really wonderful, isn't it, if it's stuff you want? But if you are repeating patterns of thought about things you do not want, and in your environment, oh, you are very, very good at that. You have this sort of mass consciousness theory that goes like this. If we don't beat the drum of our history, we are sure to repeat it again. And we say, the contrary is true. The more you beat the drum of anything, the more you activate it in your vibration. The more it is activated in your vibration, then the more law of attraction is matching you up with things like it. And the more law of attraction is matching you up with things like it, the more you observe it. And the more you observe it, the more you talk about it. The more you talk about it and observe it, the more you beat the drum of it or offer the vibration of it. The more you offer the vibration of it, the more law of attraction matches you up with it. The more law of attraction matches you up with it, the more you're living it, the more you're talking about it, the more you're beating the drum of it, the more you're offering the vibration of it. This gathering, we're calling it the art of allowing, but what it really means is the art of telling a different story. The art of telling the story the way life has helped you carve it out incrementally, but telling the story with your words, with your observations, with your expectations, with your vibration. Then when law of attraction is responding to your deliberate offering of thought, now you're getting what you want, not just what you're observing. Are there things in your life that are as you want them to be? Keep telling that story. Are there things in your life that are not as you want it to be? Don't tell that story. You cannot choose something that feels better until you are aware of what you are choosing. So, relief is the order of business. What do you want to talk about?
Life is a series of changes. Those of us who are rigid and inflexible in our thinking often snap when the winds of change blow. But those of us who are like willow trees bend easily and adapt to the new changes. If we refuse to change, then life passes us by and we get left behind. Just as a flexible body is more comfortable to be in, so is a flexible mind more comfortable to live in. I am open to the new and changing. Every moment presents a wonderful new opportunity to become more of who I am. I flow with life easily and effortlessly. I now go beyond other people's fears and limitations. I am not my mother's fears and limitations, nor am I my father's fears and limitations. I'm not even my own fears and limitations. These are only false thoughts that have been hanging around in my mind. I can erase them as easily as I can clean a dirty window. When the window of my mind is clean, I can see clearly the negative thoughts for what they are, and I can choose to eliminate them. It is my mind that creates my experiences. I am unlimited in my own ability to create the good in my life. Life mirrors my every thought. As I keep my thoughts positive, life brings me only good experiences. There is plenty for everyone, including me. There is so much food on this planet that we could feed everyone. Yes, there are people who are starving, but it is not the lack of food, it is the lack of love that allows this to happen. There is so much money and so many riches in the world, far more than we know. If it were all distributed equally, within a month or so, those who have money now would have more, and those who are poor now would once again be poor. For wealth has to do with consciousness and deservability. There are billions of people on this planet, yet you will hear people tell you that they are lonely. If we don't reach out, love cannot find us. So as I affirm my self-worth and my deservability, that which I need comes to me in the perfect time-space availability. The ocean of life is lavish with its abundance. All my needs and desires are met before I even ask. My good comes from everywhere and everyone and everything. All is well in my world. My life has always worked perfectly, only I did not know it. I didn't realize that every negative event in my world was life reflecting back to me my belief system. Now that I am aware, I can consciously program my thinking process to have a life that works on all levels. Everything in my life works now and forevermore. My work is deeply fulfilling. When we learn to love what we do, then life sees to it that we will always have interesting creative occupations. When you are ready emotionally and mentally for the next step in life, life will move you to it. Give your best to life today. I do what I love and love what I do. I know that I am always working in the right place with just the right people, and that I learn all of the valuable lessons my soul needs to learn. Life supports me. When you follow the laws of life, life will support you abundantly. Life created me to be fulfilled. I trust life, and life is always there at every turn. I am safe. My future is glorious. Our futures will always represent our current thoughts. What you are thinking and saying right now is creating your future. So think glorious thoughts, and you will have a glorious future. I now live in limitless love, light, and joy. All is well in my world. I open new doors to life. As I walk down the corridor of life, there are doors on every side. Each one opens to a new experience. The more I clear the negative thought patterns from my mind, the more I find doors that open to only good experiences. My clarity of thinking brings to me the best that life has to offer. I rejoice in what I have, and I know fresh new experiences are always ahead of me. I greet the new with open arms. I trust life to be wonderful. I claim my own power, and I lovingly create my own reality. No one can do it for you. Only you can make your own declarations in your mind. If you give your power to others, then you have none. When you claim your power, it is yours. Use it wisely. I ask for more understanding so that I may knowingly and lovingly shape my world and my experiences. I now create a wonderful new job. Bless your current job with love and release it with love to the next person who takes your place. knowing that you are moving into a new level of life. Keep your affirmations for the new position clear and positive, and know that you deserve the best. I am totally open and receptive to a wonderful new position, using my creative talents and abilities, working with and for people I love in a wonderful location and earning good money. Everything I touch is a success. We always have the option of poverty thinking or prosperity thinking. When we think thoughts of lack and limitation, then that is what we experience. There is no way you can be prosperous if your thinking is impoverished. To be successful, you need to constantly think thoughts of prosperity and abundance. I now establish a new awareness of success. I know I can be as successful as I make my mind up to be. I move into the winning circle. Golden opportunities are everywhere for me. Prosperity of every kind is drawn to me. I am open and receptive to new avenues of income. When we are open and receptive, life will find many ways to bring income to us. As we know and affirm that we deserve all good, the infinite source will open new channels. We often limit our own good by believing in fixed income and other closed ideas. Opening our consciousness opens the banks of heaven. I now receive my good from expected and unexpected sources. I am an unlimited being, accepting from an unlimited source in an unlimited way. I am blessed beyond my fondest dreams. I deserve the best, and I accept the best now. The only thing that keeps us from having the good in our life is that we don't believe we deserve it. Somewhere in childhood we learned that we didn't deserve, and we believed it. Now it is time to release that belief. I am mentally and emotionally equipped to enjoy a prosperous and loving life. It is my birthright to deserve all good. I claim my good now. Life is simple and easy. The laws of life are simple, far too simple for many people who want to struggle and complicate things. What you give out comes back to you. What you believe about yourself and about life becomes true for you. It is that simple. All I need to know at any given moment is revealed to me. I trust myself and I trust life, and all is well.
Science that demystifies the mystical. And if you can combine a little quantum physics with a little neuroscience, with neuroendocrinology, with psychoneuroimmunology, the mind-body connection, epigenetics, all of those sciences point the finger at possibility. And if you talk about religion, if you talk about culture, if you talk about tradition, even spirituality, I notice that you divide an audience. But science, in a sense, creates community. So people come for all kinds of reasons. And what I've learned in the last year or so is that what people really want is wholeness. Because when we want something, we're in separation or in lack, right? And so when we started experimenting with doing different scientific measurements, one of the things we started to notice is that when a person somehow connects to something greater, and that has a influence on their nervous system, the side effect is that they feel so whole, so rejuvenated in that moment, so blessed by life in that moment from an inner experience that it's impossible for them to want. I mean, how can you want when you feel whole, right? And so when we started looking at heart coherence and we saw this tremendous changes in people's ability to be able to sustain a state of mind, a feeling in their heart for an extended period of time, we have data to show you could be sick and do that. You could be a vegetarian and do that. You could be a carnivore and do that. You could be rich, you could be poor. And it doesn't, if you're skinny, overweight, doesn't matter. Once you learn that skill of self-regulation, and being able to experience a greater level of wholeness, that if you can create from wholeness instead of separation or lack, you can produce greater effects on the nature of reality. So we came from singularity, and when you're oneness or when you're source, there's no separation between cause and effect. Your thoughts create experiences when you're in oneness. We journey down the density, and now we're really separate from source. And so what happens between cause and effect is called time. So we're here now to prove to ourselves that the divine lives in us. So why not practice shortening time, or the interval between cause, the thought, and the effect, the experience? And when you start seeing something appear in your life as a result of you at cause, you start getting more kind, more caring, more loving, more conscious, more present, because you feel more whole.
There's a primary law called the law of vibration. The law of vibration decrees that everything in this universe moves, nothing rests. The body in a coffin is moving. You're probably thinking this guy's smoking something. Look, if the body in a coffin wasn't moving, how would it ever change to dust? It's always moving. It's always vibrating. Everything vibrates. We live in an ocean of motion. Take a microscope and look at a solid wall. It's not solid. It only appears to be solid. A perception problem there. You'll see the wall moving right in front of your eyes. There's a particle of energy and they're dancing right before your eyes. That's the law of vibration. The law of vibration decrees everything moves, nothing rests. We literally live in an ocean of motion. Now, this physical instrument we're living in, we call our body, is a molecular structure, and it's in a very high speed of vibration. Our brain is an electronic switching station. When we activate brain cells, we alter the vibration in different parts of the body. I could not move my hand up and down or my arm up and down without first giving a message to my brain to do that. Well, the brain activates cells in the body. It sets up a vibration in the body. The vibration that the mind and body are in is going to dictate what you attract. Because when you put yourself in a vibration, what you're really doing is put yourself on a specific frequency. That's what you do when you set a goal. Most people set a goal and then wait for it to happen. It's never going to happen. You've got to assume that it's already happened. You've got a picture of it in your mind. Mentally, it's already happened. It's happened because I've got the idea in my conscious mind. If I didn't have the idea in my conscious mind, I couldn't talk to you about it. The very fact I can talk to you about it means that I've already got it. Then I've got to get emotionally involved in it. I'm already emotionally involved in the goal that I've got. I've got it intellectually, I've got it emotionally. It's only a period of time till it moves into form. How does it move into form? Well, you attract whatever's required for it to move into form. You attract all the energy that's necessary to produce the physical result. How do you do that? You do that by intellectually and emotionally staying in the vibration of the good that you desire. You see it already in the present tense. So that keeps you on the frequency, and that frequency then dictates what you're going to attract. You can only attract to you what's in harmonious vibration with you. Now, if you're holding an image that you can't get something, you're on a vibration, you're not going to get it. But if you can see yourself with it, you know it's coming to you. You know it. You know it's only a period of time. You're not quite sure what the time is, but you know it's a period of time, and bang, that thing's going to manifest in your life. You have controlled the vibration that you're in. The vibration then, called the frequency, you put yourself on the frequency that you desires on. Let's suppose I want to have a lot of money. We were just talking about money. Now this is a lot of money relative to, let's say, this. There's 100, here's 100 100. So one's a lot relative to the other. Neither one is a lot, it just is. If I want to attract a lot of money, I got to see myself with a lot of money. I got to mentally accept I've already got it. I don't let my bank account dictate that. I choose that. So I'm choosing myself to see myself with the good I already desire. I'm on that frequency. Now the trick is to stay on that frequency. Most people look at the results and they let the results dictate the frequency they're on. That's why they keep getting the same results. They have the image in their mind, they're already reached the goal they want, they're already successful, and somebody else comes along and says, well, you haven't got those results. In my mind, I have, but they're not looking in my mind. They're looking at my present results. And then pretty soon I start listening to them. I think, God, they're right. I look at my results. I haven't got it. Do you see why we keep getting this poor results? You've got to see yourself with the good you desire. You've got to hold that image in your mind. You've got to know it's going to come, and that will attract everything that's necessary. See, nothing is created or destroyed. Everything's already here. If not in one frequency, certainly in another, or not in one state, certainly in another. We've got to get on the frequency of the good that we desire.
When you think a deliberate thought of what you want, then law of attraction will employ the universe and all people, circumstances, and events to move you to what you've asked for and to move what you've asked for to you. And so if you think about that, there is just action would be really, really hard for you to reach all of the people, circumstances, and events, manipulate all of them to receive what you want. And if you really reflect well on your life and things that have happened in your life, you'll kind of see that actually that happened for me. All I did was move to here, or all I did was move to there, and I received what I wanted. Thought creates all of the appearances in the world, and thought creates everything in your life. So it's pretty darn powerful, right? And what you think about is what you get. What you focus on is what will manifest in your life. And everyone is manifesting their day every single day. We're doing it. We are not aware, of course, necessarily of thoughts, but thoughts come, we energize them, and then they will manifest unless we cancel that thought out with another thought, with a thought that contradicts it. But I remember Lester Levinson would say, every single thought manifests. And I just thought that was incredible. I had known the secret for years and years and years. And Lester Levinson was a real master. And he said every single thought manifests. And I was just, wow, that's how powerful they are. So thoughts are your superpower. To be, do, and have what you want to experience and have and do in your life. And so if you ask an athlete, or if you talk to a coach, a really brilliant coach, right, of a sports team, then you will find that visualization and these principles that I'm talking about are a big part of their training. They have to be. They have to see themselves winning the game. They have to see themselves winning the match. There is a really incredible tennis player that's a very big fan, a champion tennis player that's a really big fan of The Secret, who uses The Secret. This is what he does. He sees that he has won the match before he walks out onto that court. And it's the same for teams. It's the same for athletes in the Olympic Games, running a race and seeing that they've won. Yes, they run the race, but what has them win the race is that they saw themselves winning before they even got on the starting block. And they saw it and believed it and felt it. And so they just, everything lined up for them in the perfect way. They drew the perfect lane. Everybody else was moved in exactly the right position, and they got a really great start and they won the race. And so thought is just so powerful. So athletes, but also, do you know, the astronauts in the Apollo program did visualization before they went to the moon, and they visualized landing back on Earth safely. And so that's how important visualization is. Just thought in pictures, by the way. It's still thought. It's just the same thing, okay? It's just thought in pictures. So if you took a person who had zero resistance and you locked them in a room, if you took a person that had zero resistance, that person thought about what they wanted, zero resistance, locked them in a room, what they wanted will come to them. The universe will move people, circumstances, and events and bring that right to them. It absolutely must. Because if you have no resistance, you have unleashed a law that just cannot be stopped. And so you will manifest. It will come to you.
I once heard a definition of health that made a lot of sense to me. Good health, it said, is having no fatigue, having a good appetite, going to sleep and awakening easily, having a good memory, having good humor, and having precision in thought and action, not being klutzy, being honest, humble, grateful, and loving. How healthy are you? I do not heal anyone. The work I do is to help people understand how their own mental patterns are constantly creating their own life experiences. All of them. The good experiences and the so-called bad experiences. And also how these same mental patterns are contributing to the ease and dis-ease in their bodies. We do not want to be ill, and yet we need every disease we have. It is the body's way of telling us that we have a false idea in consciousness. Our body is telling us we are on the wrong track and need to change the way we think. Every illness is a lesson for us to learn. Please do not just complain, "I want to get rid of this condition." It will not create the healing you want, nor will you learn the lesson you need to learn. This is not a time for condemnation or for creating more guilt. We are just looking at what needs to be released. This is a time for healing, for making our lives and our bodies whole. I know you have within you all that you need to accomplish this. Once we begin to understand this process, we are able to take conscious control of the changes we wish to make in our lives. This is a very exciting process and becomes one of the most important adventures in our lives. I believe there is a center of wisdom within each one of us, and when we are ready to make positive changes in our lives, we attract whatever we need to help us. Something inside of you has shifted, and the healing process has already begun. You might even say that to yourself now. I have already begun the healing process. The body, like everything else in life, is a mirror of our inner thoughts and beliefs. The body is always talking to us if we will only take the time to listen. Every cell responds to every single thought you think and every word you speak. Continuous modes of thinking and speaking produce body behaviors and postures and eases or dis-eases. The person who has a permanently scowling face did not produce that by having joyous, loving thoughts. Older people's faces and bodies show so clearly a lifetime of inner dialogue. How will you look when you are elderly? You see, it is my belief that it is our birthright to be totally healthy and totally fulfilled in every area of our lives. Take a nice deep breath, and if possible, allow yourself to be in a comfortable position. Just let these ideas wash over you. Only those ideas that are right for you will be accepted by you. It doesn't matter whether you understand them all or not, or if they make sense to you right now. Your subconscious mind will hear and record whatever you need. I believe that all illness is self-created. Not that we say, I want to have this illness, but we create a mental atmosphere where this dis-ease can grow and flourish. Our internal mental dialogue reacts in every cell in the body. I heard a physician say recently, if the surgeon operates on a patient without doing something to help them change the cause of the disease, then all the doctor is doing is prolonging the life of the patient until the patient can create another dis-ease. You see, we need to do more than just treat the symptom. We need to eliminate the cause of the dis-ease. And for that, we need to go within ourselves where the process of illness began. It is my belief that we are each responsible for every experience in our lives, the best and the worst. We all create our experiences by the thoughts we think and the words we speak. The universe totally supports our internal dialogue. Our subconscious mind accepts as truth whatever we choose to believe. You can say it either way. They both mean that what I believe about myself and about life becomes true for me. What you choose to think about yourself and about life becomes true for you.
Manifesting is acquiring the experience of what it is that you want to feel and being and living and believing in that experience and then allowing that experience to come into form. Sometimes we manifest things far beyond our wildest dreams.
Yep.
So sometimes if we have a vision of something, it happens in a far greater way. So we want to stay open.
Yep.
So we can say, I want that MacBook Air, but maybe we get that MacBook Air that's a little bit bigger than we thought, you know, or maybe it comes with an extra little gift.
Yeah.
But allowing ourselves to be open, this or something more. Manifesting is very creative. It is the process of using your power energy and being in that presence of your high-powered energy and allowing that energy to co-create with the energy that's around you. So you're vibrating at a high frequency. I'm vibrating at a high frequency.
Girl.
We've done a lot of work. We've cleaned up a lot of our own crap. We believe in ourselves today. And that energy of believing in ourselves has attracted us together today and brought us into this space where we together are co-creating and teaching. If I hadn't cleaned up my side of the street, and if I didn't believe in myself the way I do, I would never have manifested being on Marie TV. Miracles occur naturally, and when they're not occurring, something has gone wrong.
That's interesting.
It's a good one, right? So what happens is that synchronicity, that flow, that effortless action, that just sort of allowing, oh, I was thinking about that and it just showed up. That's how life is supposed to be. We get in the way. Our negative belief systems, our fears, our anxiety, our anger towards the past, that future tripping and projecting, all of that energy gets in the way of allowing all of the miracles to occur naturally. So the first step of manifestation is to get very, very clear. And you know, if we're not clear about what we desire, then we can call in some really funky stuff. You must be clear because if you are unclear, you'll start to call in some things that are not really what you want. You'll be confused. The other piece is that once you're clear, you can also then get clear about all of the ways that you don't believe, all of the limiting beliefs, all of the negativity that might be blocking you.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you're different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. If you want to learn how to activate the law of attraction, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Everybody, at least kind of in the mass market, what you're trained to think about when you think about manifesting is vision boards. And when you hear the word vision boards, you think about